India doesn't pay this tariff. U.S. consumers pay it.
Yes, India has its own foreign policy and its own bottom line they need to take on, which is refining Russian oil, which they have to think now.
My advice to India is figure out the best way you can do business without the United States.
RIC, the new Russian, India, China coalition, if that's how the three leadership want to be seen in the world as one, that's completely fine.
Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy were saying, look, we need these people because it helps American business.
The Trump administration has been very bullish about setting the immigration system, revamping it. We have to. It's been dysfunctional. We had millions of people breaking down our borders.
I think the message that's being sent, if not explicitly by the president, but by other people, is in a way that people aren't welcome here.
The focus of this administration is to bring the rule of law back. You're welcome to this nation, but come through the legal process.
Well, if it was me, it would discourage me from coming to the United States, but I'm not perhaps desperate enough to try to be here.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Tracking Trump. I'm Nidhi Razdan. Now, is there a thaw in the India-US relationship, or are we just imagining it? We heard President Trump just a few days ago talking about the special relationship between India and America, although he said he didn't quite like what Mr. Modi was doing right now, but also called him a great prime minister. And Mr. Modi took to social media then to talk about the positive aspects of the India-US relationship. But since then, we really haven't seen anything else happen. Trump's punitive tariffs against India are still very much there. His aides, particularly Peter Navarro, his trade advisor, continues to rally against India day after day, particularly on the purchase of Russian oil. And now we are hearing more and more noises coming out of America from the Republicans, from Trump's supporters, that the H1B visas, which are for highly skilled professionals, mainly technical engineers, software engineers, IT professionals from India, these visas should be done away with. They should have stricter rules, and there are reports that that may actually happen. So the question is, are Indians now going to be unwelcome in Trump's America? Taking a look at all these questions together, we have with us someone from the Republican Party, Puneet Ahluwalia. He is joining us from Virginia in the United States today. Thank you very much, Mr. Ahluwalia, for being with us. And Mr. Ray Locker, he's a journalist and author. He joins us today from Washington, D.C. Thank you very much to both of you for being with us. Ray Locker, to you first. Firstly, on where the relationship stands today, I was talking about the kind of mixed signals we've got in the last week or so. What's your take?
Well, I mean, anything can happen with Donald Trump. He seems to have a good relationship with Prime Minister Modi. Certainly in the first term he did. And now he's all over the map, and it's hard to determine really what it all means. And, that's sad because the United States and India have had a long and, healthy relationship, and it's gotten better and better in the last 20 years. And this is definitely a hiccup. And so, I mean, I'd like to think things are going to get better, but a 50% tariff on imported Indian goods is really hard to swallow. And I got to remind everybody about this. It's not, India doesn't pay this tariff. U.S. consumers pay it. And by putting such a high tariff on it, it creates a disincentive for Americans to buy Indian products. And, so that's why India doesn't like these tariffs, because it makes U.S. people, buyers find different suppliers for their products.
But what do you make of this, the sort of mixed signaling, as it were? First Trump finally sort of talking about the special relationship between India and America. Mr. Modi, in a very unusual move, actually quoted a media report and tagged Mr. Trump on X. And that was not reciprocated. And at the same time, Peter Navarro is going on and on about India's purchase of Russian oil. He's attacked the BRICS grouping again in the last 24 hours. So, I mean, what are we to make of that?
Well, I think you're dealing with a very capricious and unstable administration. I mean, Peter Navarro in a normal world wouldn't get anywhere near the White House, much less the Oval Office. I mean, most people think he's a crackpot. I certainly do. And so he's helping guide trade policy. But in the end, it's all up to President Trump. And he's the one who decides what he wants to do. And look, he's hard to figure out. I mean, I think that's putting it mildly. My advice to India is figure out the best way you can do business without the United States. Try your best to make, a positive relationship with somebody who is at the very best unpredictable.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because, we've had some voices from the US, like yourself, who are increasingly now saying that India needs to perhaps do business with other countries rather than with the US. Puneet Ahluwalia, you are a Republican, you're also an Indian American. What do you make of this, particularly the developments of the past week or so?
Well, I'm a proud Indian American. I'm proud of the work President Trump is doing and our party is doing. They're basically bringing certain amount of accountability, which was missing in the Biden era, and that's he's moving forward. Is it all chaotic at times? Yes, it is, because there's a method to his madness. He's trying to achieve a lot before 2026 election. But coming to India, as a proud Indian American, as I said earlier, I think that relationship has to be fixed. I think they have, both Prime Minister Modi and President Trump have great dynamics, but that dynamics has to translate into bottom line, which means how are we going to do more trade, and how India is going to be in the US camp. And yes, India has its own foreign policy and its own bottom line they need to take on, which is refining Russian oil, which they have to think now multiple times, because the impact of refining those Russian oil is going to have a multi effect, not only the 50% tariff, but now you're seeing the H1B issue. There'll be other issues that are going to prop up because President Trump is trying to get the war in Europe between Ukraine and Russia done with. I think that's one of his main important issue, and and find a way to
Do
mitigate
you think
peace
it's a
there.
good thing that he's actually destroying his relationship with India because he wants to get a Nobel Peace Prize?
No, no, no. Let's not bring the Nobel Peace Prize. If he gets it, that's up to the committee. But more importantly, he said when he in his presidential in his inauguration speech, he said he wants to be a peacemaker, and that's what he's trying to achieve is peace throughout the region. And he has brokered peace with
So
different
why
wars that
isn't
have
he
been going on.
slapping a punitive tariff on China, which buys the
I
most
think
Russian oil?
I think China is one of the main issues. Trust me on this, because we see China not as an ally or a frenemy or a partner. China has its own design. What's important is that we look at India as a democratic nation, and we want to have India as a great partner and an ally. But the Indian leadership has to choose what they want with the United States. I think if I see on social media the RIC, the new Russian India China coalition, if that's how the three leadership want to be seen in the world as one, that's completely fine. And they want to snub President Trump, that's fine too. That's their decision as a nation. But as Americans, as America First policy, which Peter Navarro, I think, is a patriot, he's trying to do is basically bring back manufacturing, bring accountability into our trade, which is
But
free
Mr.
and balanced.
Ahluwalia, Peter Navarro's his posts are being fact checked by X. I mean, he's really mad at Elon Musk for doing that. But he's just spewing things that are not facts. I mean, I'm being polite.
Oh,
He's
but
lying.
he no, he's on. But
About
let me tell
Russian
you,
oil,
Peter
for
Navarro
example.
has said.
So look at the way
Peter
he
Navarro
talks
has.
about India. He calls it Modi's war. It's almost as if India invaded Ukraine, not Russia. So the point is, are you okay with that? I mean, you think that line, that attack dog role that he's playing is okay?
In that same interview, he said, "I respect Prime Minister Modi as a leader." In the same line, "I love India." In the same interview, he said, where he says Modi's war. Okay, in that same interview, if you don't take the snippets of that interview of Modi's war, look at, he said, "I respect Prime Minister Modi as a leader." In the same interview, he said, I also love India. So the fact is that we have as a disagreement on the business, and more importantly, on how we want to see India as our ally and a partner and brokering peace between Russia and Ukraine. But India is
I don't
also
think
looking
this is
at
a
its
way to
own
win
bottom line, which
friends.
which we respect.
I
But
don't
there will
think
be
it's a way to
consequences for
win
that.
friends, unfortunately, because the language that's being used from the president downwards, and particularly Mr. Navarro, is sort of pushing India away. And just
India's
to bring
choice
Ray
if you want to
Locker
push
back into
away.
this, because we're also talking about the H1B visa issue. There is a growing sense in India now that Indians are not going to be welcome in this administration when you have people like the Commerce Secretary of the United States calling H1B visas a scam, or you have big MAGA influencers like Laura Loomer saying that Trump might not be outsourcing to Indian IT companies anymore. You're really hitting at what has been a very strong aspect of the India-US relationship, which has been skilled Indian engineers, IT professionals going to America, contributing to the American economy as much as anything else. And so, are we to take the signals that they don't want Indians in America? We're not welcome there. Mr. Locker.
Well, I certainly hope that's not the case. I agree that there are some concerns with the H1B visa program. That was apparent during the first Trump administration. And when I was at USA Today, we were trying to report on that because there were actually Democrats in Congress who wanted to team up with the Trump administration on ways to reform that program. I mean, sometimes you get people come here on a visa and they're beholden to the company that brings them in. They're abused in some ways. They, are paid less money. And sometimes the program is used to undercut American workers. That said, I think there is kind of a component of racism involved in this where we don't want to be bringing in more people from India. We're looking after quote unquote Americans. And so that's where the two kind of conflict with each other. You have like Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, were saying, look, we need these people. I tend to agree with that. I don't agree with their slurs on American coders and workers and their work ethic. But I think, there's an issue there that we need to bring these people in because it helps American business. And I think there are some places where this could be reformed in a way if the administration wanted to work together in a cooperative fashion with everybody, every stakeholder involved, the Indians, Democrats, Republicans, business people, etc.
But there seems to be a bigger pattern here, Puneet Ahluwalia. The talk about the H1B visas, student visas are now becoming more and more difficult. They're being more difficult with interviews, the duration you stay. That there again is a general sense that international students, Indians in particular, are no longer welcome in America. And a lot of American universities, the top ones, actually depend on international students, especially Indians and Chinese students, who contribute, to their revenue. So, what is the message actually from the Trump administration here?
Well, the Trump administration has been very bullish about setting the immigration system, revamping it. We have to. It's been dysfunctional. We had millions of people breaking down our borders and coming in. We do not know who they are, who they were, and were they vetted or not. And we have had a serious problem. And we have a fentanyl crisis in our nation, drug crisis in our nation. So we have to do that. But singling out that, Indians are not welcome, I disagree completely. I'm very much involved in the Republican leadership. We are hosting a great event in October with the Republican leadership, and predominantly Indian Americans are going to participate in that, which are large, small businesses. So this notion of there's racism or we are not welcome is hogwash, because Indian Americans and most Americans who are immigrants to this nation are hardworking. They abide by the law. They pay their taxes. And they're great citizens and great Americans, and we are built on we are a nation of immigrants. So let's keep that, and it's up to folks like myself and the other immigrants who are here to really take charge of this narrative, which is being built or being developed by the left. So singling on H1, yes,
it's
there
not
has
the
been
left who's
abuse.
putting these social media posts. It's very much people on the
what I'm saying,
extreme right.
no, but that's Nidhi. That's the reason I said we have a broken immigration system that needs to be fixed. Look, we've had people who are being sent back to Central America and South America. So that we're not singling out, we're singling out people who have abused the system, who are not playing by the rule of law, because that's what is more important. And that's where this administration is going forward with.
Visas, around 75% of H1B visas go to Indian professionals. So when you have senior Trump administration officials saying that the whole thing is a scam, who are you targeting? When you have a Laura Loomer who has a direct line to the president saying that Indian IT companies
don't quote the fringe elements,
we're not going to outsource to them any longer. what is the? I mean, you are singling out India, aren't you?
No. We're not singling out. Look, I disagree with that. The immigration system, like almost 2 or 3 days ago, a large Korean factory in Georgia was singled out. There were 300 plus Koreans. We don't know Americans or not, who were singled out and taken by the ICE. So it's not we are targeting India. You can see cases where South Americans, Central Americans, folks from Europe. There are many stories. So what the focus of this administration is to bring the rule of law back, bring immigration. You're welcome to this nation, but come through the legal process. And I believe the Indians will streamline that process because we are brilliant people. We are hardworking people. We pay our taxes. We play by the rule. But yes, the H1 visa scenario is going to change because what they want to do is to bring in people who are the best of the best and they help and contribute to our economy. And at the same time, there should be opportunities for American kids who are graduating from school. And there has been a stranglehold on their ability to get jobs in the IT companies because there has been a chokehold on that. And I know that personally myself because my wife has an IT company and it's very hard to break through the certain system because we want to bring the best and the brightest to our nation and also hire excellent people. So there are things that needs to be fixed. And is India being singled out? I disagree with that.
Well, Dr. Just the last word to you then on this. I mean, on one hand, Puneet Ahluwalia says America is a nation of immigrants, which it is and historically has been. But on the other hand, the whole Republican messaging is that Indian workers on H1B visas are taking away these jobs from American workers. Firstly, is that true? I mean, if America had the talent, why wouldn't they put their American people in those jobs? There's a reason why Indian H1B visa, those who are on those visas have been in demand all these years. And two, do you fear that there's a real danger that, the kind of talent and innovation that you saw in America with cutting off visas, tighter visa rules across the board, whether in academia, even H1B will mean, a big setback to innovation in America in the long run?
Well, look, I think the message that's being sent, if not explicitly by the president, but by other people, is in a way that people aren't welcome here. And I, mentioned the arrests in Georgia at the Hyundai factory. Those people had visas. They were there to train people at this huge Hyundai battery plant near Savannah. And so you come in based on a tip that was wrong, and they find all these Koreans there who are helping build this factory, and they get detained and shipped out of the country. Now, if I'm a Korean company, I'm going to think twice about what I want to do in the United States, whether or not there's ostensibly a good reason for it or not. And so, I think it's a deterrent. I don't know if it's fatal. I agree that there are problems with our immigration system, but there have always been problems with our immigration system. And the reason for that is people want to come here. It's a better place to live. And, the more we embrace that and find a way to make it somehow make sense, the better off we'll be. And I don't know the answer to that, but I think what's happening, well, if it was me, it would discourage me from coming to the United States, but I'm not perhaps desperate enough to try to be here. And a lot of people are desperate to come here to make for a better life.
And I think the example you gave of South Korea is actually a really important one because South Korea has been a supposed friend of the United States. And that brings me back to the original point that if this is how Mr. Trump would treat his friends like the Koreans or India, then, best of luck to everyone out there. Thank you very much to both of you for joining us today. As this story continues to evolve, let's see where it takes us. Thank you. We'll be back next week with much more on Tracking Trump. See you there.